Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another live edition here on the Rock Pile Podcast, where we bring episode number 10 of Inside Utica University Football Podcast with head coach Blaise Faggiano. Was just telling Coach it's hard to believe we have this week and then one more week of the regular season, and hopefully we get another week and maybe a couple more weeks after that, but we'll take it week to week here. Excited to talk to Coach about their big win last week over St. John Fisher. They'll return home this week where they've been really good at home all season. They're 4-0 at home, and then they'll finish next week on the road at Brockport, who we'll talk about that. Brockport and Cortland, a big game this week in the Empire 8, so some implications of the Empire 8, how things will turn out. But as Coach just said, we got to worry about this week and going 1-0. So thanks to everybody tuning in tonight, and as always, the viewership has been fantastic throughout the season. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We're just over 4,000 total follows across all social media platforms, so everything has been fantastic. I can't thank the followers enough. If you're watching on YouTube tonight, make sure to hit the subscribe button and continue to follow me across any of your social media platforms and much more. So without further ado, let's bring Coach on now. Coach, how are you?
Excellent, Rock. Good to see you.
Good to see you. And as we were saying, big games this week, Brockport and Cortland. We can get into some implications of the Empire 8, how things will finish. But hard to believe, Coach, we're heading into the last 2 weeks of the season.
That's crazy. It goes quick. It goes quick. So it's had some crazy weather at practice today. It's probably the worst weather day. The weather's been pretty good this fall, but we typically don't like going in the dome. We want to be able to be outside and get our work done. But it's wild to be 2 weeks in the 8 left and still a lot to be determined.
Well, Coach, we were saying throughout the season of doing this show with you, the weather has been fantastic. We've had great Saturday games, and I'm looking at the weather for this week. It looks a little iffy on Saturday, but it's home where you guys have been really good at home this season, Coach. And really, you guys have been good at home in the last 2 to 3 years.
It's a great place to play. Our guys really buy into, giving back to the community every game. It's fun that we can talk about, hey, okay, what's this home game about? And I really enjoy that. Our guys enjoy it. To jump right in it, this Saturday is, I know we're going to talk about last week, but this Saturday is the GPO Federal Credit Union Veterans Day game. And it supports a unique program at Citron. And the military program over at Citron is run by a Utica University alum, Jackie Warmoth. Does a great job there. So something we look forward to. We'll have 30 veterans and all their families will be hosted by GPO in the tent. We'll have a couple vets come to practice, talk to the guys. It's always a treat. And then actually this year is the first year we had the National Guard. Our local National Guard is going to present our nation's colors, and that's cool. We're looking forward to having them, and they're going to join the folks in the tent. So a lot of good things happening this weekend.
Coach, big win last week for you guys, 31-7, and your defense has been extremely well all season, and we know your offense has been the tops in the league. But, man, talk to us about defensively, the effort you guys had defensively. You held Fisher, I think, just about 60-something yards rushing, and I think just a little bit over 200 yards of total offense. But your defense was flying around.
They played very well. Played very well. Got the ball back, to our offense. That's our goal. Get the ball back to the offense as many times as possible. I really thought a big turning point in the game, where we didn't get a first down. We decided to punt it, and a couple plays later, Mason Morano, which we'll talk about here in a minute, great hustle play. Kind of got knocked around in the play, but just kept hustling the ball and went to tackle the quarterback, and he didn't see him coming, strips it, we could recover it, go right down and score to go up. I think at that point it was to go up 3 scores, I think. And that was like a huge little turning point in the game. And they're playing at a high level, no doubt. They run the ball. Teams are having a hard time running the football again, having to get in those where they have to throw the ball. And they're playing well. I work with the D line. I'm proud of the D as a group. They played outstanding.
Yeah, Coach, I've been impressed with your D line all year. How fast your D line can move, and they've been really good against the run. Like I said, you held Fisher to I think it was about 65 yards of rushing when they've been averaging well over 150. But I've been really impressed with the athleticism of your guys up front. They can move.
And we like to have guys like that. We do our best to recruit guys like that. And what's nice is all of them. I mean, we rotate a good amount of guys. We try to keep them healthy. Certainly, Jordan Davis is having a tremendous year. Had a big game this game. Again, I'm not. You probably have Mason stats from the game. I know he was like 4 TFLs.
Yep,
Three
he
or
had four.
Four, and then 3 or 4 pass breakups, which is like DB stats. And then had the forced fumble. Nick DeForest played really well this game as well. Our local guy out of Holland Patton. And, then we rotate some guys. We rotate Austin DeGroat in there and makes plays. Christian Parham-Rome made some big plays when he had an opportunity. Jerome Nemhard goes in there. And then that buck position, Mason Muscari, is kind of that hybrid where he's a linebacker, but he's a defensive end, but he's a linebacker and kind of helps.
He was everywhere.
Yeah, he had a sack himself, and he's a really good special teams player too. He's making most of the tackles on the kickoff and doing a nice job. And his other special teams, he's on. It's something that he enjoys. So, that's big. That can be the difference maker. It takes the pressure off. Coach J. Mack calling the defense and in the secondary.
Coach, how much does it help you guys that you're able to play and rotate and get some of the young guys that game experience? When we started the season, they didn't have a lot of experience coming in, but you've been able to rotate and get guys in. How much does that help you throughout the season?
I mean, it's particularly how we play. We really focus running to the football, and then just the style of offenses you see. The D line gets gassed. And they're throwing bubble screens and all different stuff to the field and trying to tire the D line out. That's like a legit game plan by a lot of offensive coordinators, and so you got to keep those guys fresh, so they can play at that high level. So, certainly we've been pleased with Austin and Christian as freshmen how they've really progressed, throughout the year for sure. That's kind of unique to have 2 freshmen play as much as those guys have. But I'll tell you, I think it's a credit to the upperclassmen. Taking them under their wing. JD, as we call Jordan Davis, Mason. Moranowitz and Jerome, like those 3 guys have really done a good job. Like they're teaching those guys every day, and and really built a good culture amongst the positional group.
Coach, the other area defensively, you guys have been really good this year. You guys have been able to get off the field on 3rd down, and you held Fisher to 1-9 on 3rd down. But you really have been doing a good job of getting off the field on 3rd down throughout the season.
I mean, we were thinking. I can't remember a 1-9 on 3rd down. You know what I mean? Like that was a pretty impressive stat. That might be a school record. I can't think of a time anywhere that I've coached that I've held a team to just 1. And so that's, again, credit to the secondary, the whole group and Coach J. Mack putting them in good positions and trying to keep the offense off balance. And, I think, that's the key is that we don't just sit in one coverage the whole game. We're trying to mix it up. I think it's important to do that, because a good OC is going to attack, coverages if he knows what you're in. And, being able to mix that up has been big for us, for sure.
And, Coach, offensively, you guys have led the Empire 8 in total offense this season, even coming into this week's matchup with Hartwick. But you guys dominated the time of possession here. I think you were like 33 minutes to 26 in your guys' favor. You had 3 big scoring drives that were long drives with this game. But talk to us a little bit offensively. You guys were able to control it.
Well, this is the 3rd straight week. The offensive line hasn't given up a sack. They're playing at a very high level. Tyler is very comfortable in the pocket. So we're doing, we've improved these last few weeks dealing with pressure, which, we're going to see some pressure again Saturday. And they're running the ball. Aze ran the ball well. Our Raven package continues to be strong. He had a couple wrinkles this week where we ball to Logan Frederick on the motion. Gave the ball to Tyler Hall because maybe the defense is keying on the quarterback, which is a vast majority of the time where Tyler Hall's in there kind of lead blocking for Matt. And this was, I felt, our best game that we talked to the guys. It's really not about the other team; it's about how we performed. And I felt that to date, and you always want to be at your best at the end of the season, right? This was our best overall performance in all aspects. Special teams played well. Nico made up 4 extra points, made a nice field goal. Did a nice job kicking off again. Devin Taylor did a really good job punting. He's done a nice job. Whatever we need him to do. If it's more of a base punt, he's also can rugby punt. Has done that as well. And then Billy Boss has done a nice job snapping for us. You don't get to mention the snapper much. We gave him our Specs Player of the Week 2 weeks ago to recognize him. Young man from St. Augustine, Florida, and our punter's from Tampa, Florida. So our punter and our long snapper are Florida boys, which is kind of fun. But that specialist group has been really solid for us and done a good job this year.
And Coach, even in the red zone, you guys were 3 for 3 in the red zone, and again, you've ran out a couple different packages, with your run game with that Raven package, but 3 for 3 in the red zone too. I mean, that you can't ask for anything more.
No, they got playing at a high level. Coach Klaus doing a great job putting our guys in positions to be successful. The one time, of course, they want to score a touchdown. We got the field goal. That's important to go up that extra score, for sure. And it's just good to, for Nico to get that opportunity to go out there. Our quarterback, Tyler's playing well, man. He's playing well, making good decisions. And just the receivers continue to block for each other. Our yards after catch, I know, is pretty impressive the last couple of weeks. It might not be a long pass, but we're working underneath coverage, and whether it be to Logan or to Bryce or to Chanfrani or to Velez or whoever it might be in the game at the time, those guys are doing a nice job blocking for each other and then getting the yards after catch.
Yeah, they definitely don't seem like they're a selfish group at all. Those wide receivers with Antonio and Bryce who combined for 145 yards. But, Coach, I know we talked about Logan Frederick. You told us a story about him, but, man, he has been a beast for you guys. 8 catches, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. Man, he's been special.
Well, we were our SID, Jordan Lambert, does a great job. So we were laughing that, like, he could have got the D3 National Team of the Week again. But I think they're got what they call it, they're kind of tired of voting for him, because they gave it, which is fine. They gave it to
I thought he was going to get it again.
Because the young man, which is great, another young man got the award, but his stats were way better. Voter fatigue. That's what Jordan called it. They had voter fatigue. But again, blocking, doing whatever we ask of them. Certainly, Bryce, has gotten some attention, and that's always interesting. When are they rolling the coverage to him? Are they playing a man within the coverage? We've seen both of that. And when Bryce can do that, it frees up Logan. It frees up our other receivers for sure.
And it's nice to have a weapon like Logan too, who's really another receiver in a big body, but to be able to spread it out between Antonio, Bryce, and Logan, if they double one, and there's been games where Bryce has only had 3 or 4 catches, but Antonio and Logan have kind of picked up the slack. So to have those
Correct.
3 guys, special group.
No doubt, function at a high level, running our pass game at a high level, and they're fun to watch. In defense we talk about. Hey, get the ball back to those guys. That's anytime you can get off the field and give our offense another opportunity it's fun to watch. And I really liked just how it happened in this game where Fisher wins the toss and defers, and we go right down the field and score, which is big. And where in Fisher's Cortland game they got the ball first, and Fisher had a 15-yard drive, and even though they didn't get any points, I think Cortland only had one. It was actually a 15-minute drive, I should say, and Cortland I think only had one possession in the first quarter, right? So we kind of flipped that script, for us in this game to be able to have that time of possession, which is big. So as much as we might, throw the ball and the passing statistics are there, it's a high percentage pass game, with some of those passes on the perimeter, like an outside run, really.
You're a defensive guy, so I got to ask you this question. Coin toss to start the game. Are you a defer guy, put the D on the field, or do you want the ball on offense?
100% defer guy.
Defer guy.
I think one thing that I bought into as a head coach and learned, they talk about the middle 8. And I think that's one thing that we've been very, very good at, the middle 8, scoring before half, scoring first drive, the second half. If you were to look at those stats, I think they're pretty high. And that's the only time you can score back to back, right? And I think in the game of football, sometimes, offensive and defensive coordinators change when they're up or down a couple scores, right? Sometimes I get impatient, things like that. So, trying to get that extra, get up on a score on someone is big. So that's the only way you can do that. So I'm a big defer guy.
So, Coach, you mentioned right before the half, and you guys have been really good. You had a 2-minute drill at the end of this first half again, and it seems like you're scoring right before the half in a couple of games. But you guys put together a really good 2-minute drill.
I mean, they know they've been working together. They know each other very well. The play calling's been on point. Hey, if they're going to get, play a too high shell, we're doing this. They're going to go close the middle, we're going to that. And then we see a lot of 3 high shell, right, and be able to manipulate that. So, max coverage stuff. So I think that we've done a nice job of trying to do our best to prepare. Hey, what are the best passes? On 2 of our touchdowns, we double moved their safeties, and they're kind of giving more of that cover 2 look or a little 2-man. And the one pass Teller threw to Bryce was an absolute laser and hit him almost right out of the break, right before half. That was great. And it was same thing was a double move on that Frederick had on one of his touchdowns. So kudos to those guys for just putting them in good positions and the guys executing at a high level.
Coach, you guys have had some good quarterbacks come through UC over the years, some really good ones over the years. How special is Tyler, and what separates him from some of the other ones you've had there? Because you've had some good ones.
Oh, yeah, you go back to when we recruited Andrew Banquet, and young man threw for 10,000 yards in his 4 years, right? He's in their Hall of Fame and had some great quarterbacks over the years. I think, Tyler, you talk about just being hungry to play, and I think he'll take you back to, man, he hasn't played in so long. And we were, throughout the season, I meet with the captains every week, and along with my mentees that I mentor, and this is just Tyler's, 8th game in like 3 years, so he's continued to grow and improve every week, and just loves playing the game of football, and he really fits us. He's a blue collar family. He's a tough kid. He fits Utica. We laugh about. He's proud of his Polish heritage. We had some good conversations about that, and he's just a tough kid, and he really, our guys, welcomed him, with open arms. And I'll tell you what, like, I have to give a shout out to Coach Zanelovic and just the culture in the quarterback room. Like, spring ball was a competition, man. Brett Fuller brought it, and unfortunately, Brett had an injury a few weeks back and is going to have surgery during finals week, everyone knows he's been out now for a few weeks, but like the way that those guys battled and how they brought him in, and he's just like, man, this is, you hear about positive culture, and then when you get a transfer and they kind of tell you, like, wait a minute, you guys really have something special here. That's something that we're really proud of at Utica. It's just the culture we have in our program, how we treat these guys. They transfer in. And we have story. Braden was the same thing, and I think that was a big thing with Tyler was hearing Braden talk about his experience coming in as well. So he's having fun out there, getting better every week, just like everyone else.
And Coach, in comes Hartwick this week at 3-5, 1-5 in the Empire 8. And I want to first start with Coach Rogers. Obviously, his first season with some Utica ties, and I know Coach Rogers well.
He's the best. Coach's son. His dad for years, great job at Bishop Ludden. I would love going to visit with him. Matt had a great, not always easy time. He started out, we had him play receiver his freshman year. That sophomore year, he wanted to move back to quarterback. Played JV for the 2 years, and then worked his way up into that backup quarterback role. And then he played tennis. Was a salutatorian at the school. Was second best academic GPA at Utica. And has become a great college coach. He spent some time after he graduated with us. He was a GA with us right away. Hired him right when he graduated. Great job for us for 2 years, and then went on to Wilkes, and then to Morrisville with Coach Raby, who's now the head coach at Fisher. And then he went back to Wilkes, and then took the head job at Hartwick, which was wild. And you could tell, and you may have the stats in front of you. I'm pretty sure their quarterback might be third in passing in the conference, and I don't think he's been sacked very much. And that's just a great
top
credit.
5.
Sorry, top 5, and then he hasn't been sacked very much. One of the least sacked quarterbacks in the league. And so that Matt's putting, and he was a transfer quarterback from WestCon. I forget when he transferred. I think he transferred last year. Didn't play as much last year as this year, and Matt's doing a really good job with them and utilizing their players.
And Coach, they've been in some games. They've been in some tough games, and that it hasn't gone their way. But 3 wins overall. They got the one in the Empire 8. But some of the scores, when you look at it, they've been in a lot more games than I think people think.
Oh, for sure. Like they played Fisher at home 21-21 in the third, well into the third quarter, until Fisher pulled away late after a turnover, I believe. And, so I know that was a big game. They were pretty fired up. That was a fun game to watch, watch those guys battle. And you could tell, just what good coaching will do, you know what I mean? And kind of invigorate a program. And Matt brought another GA of ours, Christian Luganier, on the staff down there. And Christian played at Cortland. Good young coach, and he's our special teams coordinator. He brought Tyler Elmore over with him from Morrisville to be his OC. So they have a really good young staff. And you can see, the Hartwick, I always say the same things. Like, they always play tough. They always play hard. They're tough kids. And now you see a little bit extra juice. You see them in really good positions in offense, defense, and special teams to be successful. And they're making plays every game. Man, making plays every game. So I know they're going to come give us their best.
I know I asked you this question. I know you got a lot of your fellow coaches now that are coaching in high school, and you got a lot of guys that have come through Utica in the college rank, and we're talking about one here now. How much does that mean to you to see a lot of these young guys having the success that are basically your coaching tree that were part of your success?
Well, that's hard to answer. It's kind of like I would answer that the way my guys answer when you ask our players what does football mean, and they say everything. If you ask me what that means to me, it's everything. And it's something that I take a lot of pride in. Sometimes get a little emotional about, and I just remember being a young coach like it was yesterday.
Yep.
even though it wasn't.
Yep.
And just had the good fortune to be around some icons in college football, right? Like Jim Butterfield at Ithaca, Bob Ford at Albany,
yep.
Paul Vosberg at St. John Fisher, Mike Welch at Ithaca. Like, these guys are icons, and I just soaked it up and took I think there's just a thing recently on Twitter. Someone talked about all good coaches do is steal it from someone else. I think the quote from the coach, I forget where it was now. He said, "Yeah, if you're making up plays, they're probably not very good. If you if you created them yourself, you got to steal them from someone else." But interesting, we updated it because I realized that I was missing a really important head coach on there. And actually, I got to give credit. My dad, of course, noticed it. But Terrell Cunningham, Monroe, I think, is maybe one of the top ranked high school programs in New York State.
Wow.
And Terrell wasn't on there. And I had to get Terrell on there.
Did not know that.
And his son, Pooty, nickname is Pooty, is our starting quarterback and has got multiple Division I offers. And Terrell was at Utica when I arrived. I got the pleasure to coach Terrell for 2 years. And then he played with Laz Morgan, who's the head coach at Buff State. And that really means a lot to me. You know what I mean? And it can be a real pain in the butt, when Coach Fitz goes to Cortland and all of a sudden, Cortland's, because they when Coach Fitz went to Cortland, I think Brockport had beaten him 8 years in a row before Coach Fitz showed up, and then Coach Raj at Hartwick. And that makes it a little tough, on the Pioneers when those other teams get better. But ultimately, that's what we're in it for, right? We're educators, and I just had such a great experience as a player, and every day I try to shape that experience for my players. I know our coaches, maybe pick some things up and impact other people. So I think that's the long lasting. I don't want to use words; they're too big to use, but just it means a lot to me. Leave it at that.
Well, I just think it's cool because I know a lot of the high school guys, but then as we've done this show throughout the season, I feel like every time we're talking about a team you guys are playing or previewing a team, it's like, well, they came through Utica, they came through, and that's cool. That's really cool.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it next week too. All right, so
we'll save that for next. Save
Coach
it.
Fox,
Yeah.
Hey, Coach Fox, play some good defense this weekend, my guy.
So, Coach, if we get back to Hartwick, they're kind of split 50-50. They have a junior running back that's just over 600 yards. It looks like they like to run the football. They're averaging just under about 150 yards a game. And it's a junior running back, Akil Williams. What does he bring? And again, I think they're about 50-50, Coach. They throw for a couple hundred. They like to run the ball, so they're pretty balanced.
Well, I think well coached and good football teams are. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, he's quick twitch. He'll make you miss, and we got to be gap sound. If you jump your gap, he's going to hit it in the zone game. They do a nice job with that. Their line is quicker, and they have a good combination of running zone and some gap scheme with their run game. And I really think, what the balance is, it's all the play action, right, and the motions and trying to mess with the linebacker's eyes. So we're just doing our best job that we can to not let all the motions and the formations And again, it goes back to, I'm not surprised that he's running, maybe some of the same core pass concepts or run concepts out of a million formations and unbalanced and fib and motions. And that's what you do. You're trying to find an advantage in that and making sure that defenses are prepared. So, it doesn't surprise me that Matt's doing a nice job with that. And Tyler, and Tyler Elmore, their OC.
And Coach, we were talking before we came on that there's a big game this week too. I know your guys' game this week, and then you got Brockport and Cortland. And how do you keep the guys focused? Because I mean, I'm the guy behind the scenes looking at the scores and what's ahead, saying, "Well, we get through this week. Next week could be winner gets in, and maybe the loser gets a bowl game." But how do you keep your kids focused on this game this week, not looking ahead to next week and how big that game's going to be?
I think we go back to just our past and what we've learned, whether it be particularly this season, and we know that when it's really on us, you know what I mean? When other teams say they're moving the ball on offense, it's because we're making mistakes on defense. Or if our offense doesn't score, it's like even this last week, we had a penalty and a drop pass, which isn't like us. And then those times we're driving to score again. So, I talked about it this week. I don't mind telling them. I said, this is where we're at. Now, I kind of really waited till after Fisher, right? Because I kind of knew that's really when I knew that it would really matter, right? So I explained to them about NPI and the NCAA Power Index. I explained to them what that was. I explained to them that, you got, because I know they're looking at it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not understanding, and we make a huge jump. And I explained to them, I said, there's 13 Pool Cs. We jumped to the 19th ranked in that pool. And if we continue to win, and the teams that we play continue to win, that's just going to keep going up, without a doubt. That's going to keep going up, that number, and we're not going to know until after the last game where we're at. So that's certainly on the table. The next thing is if say we were able to win out, ECAC bowl games are things I've always believed in. Being able to play extra football, potentially, you talk about doing something we've never done before. We've played in, I think it's 5 bowl games, but never one at home. And how great that would be for a university, for the city of Utica. Yeah. Hey man, empty out the city of Utica to come and support us for a home bowl game against whoever they were to match us up. So again, I talked through all that, and they all know none of that matters if we don't beat Hartwick, right? And focus on that, and and have to understand, we don't want a Alfred or Morrisville, because there were way too many misses in those games. Right. This week, we want it to look like Fisher, best that we can. It's really about us and how we perform and how we execute the game plan. And the guys are really bought into it. We had a okay practice Tuesday, way better practice today. I know we'll finish strong this week. Again, it's our senior day. We're honoring 24 seniors, and then we talk about the senior day. They all laughed. I'll give you a little anecdote. So I go, senior day is kind of like your wedding. Okay, when you get married, it's not about you and your wife. It's about everybody else having a good time. And they all laughed at me.
Yep.
I said, senior day is about your parents, right? It's about your parents walking on the field with you, right? And for us, it's about winning the game, right? And not getting caught too much in that emotion. But your parents are proud of you that you played 4 years of college football, which is a very rare, uncommon thing. To say that you played 4 years of college football, whatever your role was within the program, and all roles are important and critical. So we laughed about that. So they kind of know, hey, it's a big game Saturday. The veterans are coming. It's senior day. Hartwick has got a bunch of Utica guys on their staff, and we love playing football together. And this team really wants to keep playing, because we think we would be pretty dangerous in the playoffs if we had that opportunity the way that we're playing right now. So, not going to be easy in these last 2 weeks, but they know what's on the line. So, because of some things we did earlier in the year, particularly the losing to Hobart and Cortland, every game's been a playoff game, right? Every game's been all we accomplished last week was winning season, right? Which is one of our things. We won 6 games. Okay. Utica had a winning season. Okay. We're bowl eligible. Okay. Next, right? Then we want to continue to win so we can go and do special things, because Division III, you don't want to be turning your gear in, right? You want to be that one of those teams that gets to continue to play football. So that's certainly their goal, and I think they've done a good job of that. Good job of just kind of putting their sights on the Hawks this week.
And coach, with 2 games left in the regular season, and you look back and where this season started, what have you learned about this team?
Oh, they're fun. All right, I'll give you another side note. So I coached a long time, as we all know, and this is the first time I had the offensive line and the starting quarterback trick or treat at my house. Okay, so so it really went down very funny, right? So I'm giving out the candy to the kids. About half hour goes by, it's all done. So we're just watching a little television, and then I see a large human being in a hoodie, ding dong ditch, right? And we're like, what's going on? My wife goes to the picture window. She looks. She goes, "There's someone here for you." I go, "What are you talking about?" So I go out to the door. There's no one at the door. There's no one at the door. She goes, "Go outside." And then the whole O-line and Tyler come running at me in their practice jerseys, trick or treat. And I laughed. I laughed so hard. Like, this is a fun group. And that's just one example of many. Now maybe I'll give you one other one. Like, so we're I don't know if I talked about this, but we're at for the W&J trip, and we're in the hotel, and there's karaoke in the hotel. Did I talk to you about this?
You gave me parts of this story.
Did I give you part of it? Okay, ma'am. I just that's what this group is. There's a group of people that are doing karaoke that we'll probably say are my age and older, right? That had a blast with a bunch of Utica kids for about an hour before they had bed check-in, right? Those are our guys. They're a really good group of guys. They're fun. They're high energy, and they're really fun to coach. So that's how I certainly would characterize these guys. Is they're a lot of fun.
And coach, your group too, I was trying to go back through over the last 5 or 6 years, but you got a group this year that offense and defensively, your team's in the top 3 and 4 for both categories. Offense, you're leading the league in total offense, and I think defensively, coach, I think you guys are like 2 or 3 defensively. So I was trying to go back to see when that's happened, but again, this group this year, you're tops in both categories.
Well, I tell you, in 22, I know that statistically, I don't think the defense was as high as that. The offense, I think, was, but that's great. I think it's just, we have a great conference, so anytime that you can do that, it's a great, we're young, we're trying to win the conference, still an outside chance of having a share of it this year. And all these teams were playing, like Fisher's won the conference before. Alfred's won the conference before, right? These are good programs. They have long tradition. So, they've really done a good job of taking it one game at a time. Our coaches have done a great job preparing them, and we're in a good rhythm right now. As a program, good rhythm. Academically, the weight room, the whole program. And the campus is excited about it. So everyone kind of knows that we have a good football team, and we kind of hold our destiny. We just got to keep chipping away at it.
So, coach, you and I are 26 and 20. We are dead even. We are 26 and 20. There's some good games this week. I want to start with this one. This is I haven't picked mine. Normally, I have mine picked on my paper, but I don't have mine picked tonight because I went back and forth. BYU, that's undefeated. They released a 12-team playoff. They're in it right now. At Texas Tech, does have the loss. What's kind of shocking to me is Texas Tech is giving BYU 10.5. I love BYU. I think they're physical. I love their coach. But could they go into Texas Tech and get a win?
Yes, I'm going BYU.
Oh, you're going to go BYU? All right.
The one last week that got me was Vanderbilt.
Yeah, same.
Were we both the same on that one?
Yeah, the only difference I think you and I had, and I'll have to look, I think it was the Syracuse game. I think we were opposites on Syracuse. I want to go with BYU, but I'm going to actually roll with Texas Tech. I'm going to go with the home team, but I wouldn't be surprised if BYU beats them. BYU to me plays like a Big Ten. They want to run the football. They're physical, and I love their head coach.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
All right, here's another one. This could be a trap game. Texas A&M, a lot of talk. The Mike Elko could be on his way to Penn State. They're 8-0. They're going to go to Missouri. Missouri's actually getting 6.5. Any chance Missouri gets one at home?
This one definitely could be a trap, but I'm going to go A&M.
I'm going to go with A&M as well. I love Eli Drinkowitz. I think he's rumored to be the next coach at Florida. So we'll see if that plays any distraction. That's what I've heard. Nothing confirmed. as of yet. All right, Oregon at Iowa. Iowa's getting 5.5, and Iowa's been scoring some points this year. I know the knock has been on Iowa that they can't really throw the football there. They just play good defense. But I think Iowa's playing much better. You think Iowa's got a shot to beat them? Or you like the Ducks?
Well, I'll tell you what. I went against Oregon once, and then watched that game and watched them play. So we're gonna go with Oregon this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. I am going to be pulling for Iowa. Coach Tom Myslinski, that I had the opportunity to not play for. He was the line coach when I was at RFA. His grandson, Michael, I believe, is either the starting center or the right guard for Iowa. Tom
Really?
Myslinski's grandson.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
So I'm going to pull for Iowa, but I think the Ducks are too much. I love Dan Lanning, but we'll pull for Iowa in this one.
He's got some good videos out there of him talking to the guys. He's a fiery guy.
Oh yeah. All right, Coach Fitz, Colgate. Listen, Fitzy's winning some games this year. I don't think anybody thought Colgate was going to be as competitive. They're going to play Lafayette, who's undefeated in the Patriot League. Hopefully they're not looking ahead Lafayette Lehigh, that rivalry game. But Colgate 4-5 at Lafayette.
Oh, Colgate all day. I'm going with Fitz and Gerbino and crew.
I really want to ride with Colgate, but Lafayette's good this year. Their 2 losses were to 2 FBS schools. So I'm going to pull for Coach Fitz, but I am going to roll with Lafayette. I think the Lafayette-Lehigh game at the end of the year is going to be a special game this year.
I'm glad to hear you say it. And we were talking earlier that what Lisa Lehigh was ranked 4th.
Yeah, they're 4th right now in the FCS.
That's awesome. Kudos to that staff and Coach Cahill.
He's doing a fantastic job there. But credit Coach Fitz too, man. I don't think anybody thought they'd have the success he was going to have in year 1.
Yeah, they lost. Was the heartbreaker was Georgetown.
Yes.
Right, that was the heartbreaker one. And then did they lose one of their best offensive players for the year? I know that's.
I think they lost a lineman. I don't know if they lost the stud receiver. I don't think so. I could be wrong though.
The receiver, but hopefully they get him back.
All right, so this one is probably going to be an obvious one, Coach. Syracuse still has not looked very good offensively. Miami's dropped 2 games, and Miami right now is out of the playoff, and I don't think there's a way for them to get in. Miami right now minus 28.5. Does Syracuse have a shot to keep it close?
They lost SMU, right? Miami, right? That
yes.
Was crazy. No, they got to go. My competitive side, as much as I love Fran Brown, with you and I in our records here, I'm going to have to go Miami.
Go. I would say, come on, Coach, pitch Syracuse. I can pick up maybe another one this week.
I got to go Miami.
I'm peaking at the right time.
But I think everyone needs to make sure they're be patient with Fran Brown. I think he's an outstanding coach. He's got a great staff. They're going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Angeli went down. I mean, some of those games, if he didn't go down, I think this season would be a lot different for Syracuse.
A lot different. That position's pretty important, the quarterback spot, no doubt.
So, Coach, none of these coaching dominoes have fell just yet, but a lot of these guys, that Ratley, the guy from SMU, who was up for some of those other jobs, he just signed a long-term contract to stay at SMU. Obviously, Signetti signed to stay at Indiana, but you're seeing a lot of these coaches in the universities paying them now to stay, which I think is great. But now that just goes to wonder who's going to get these big jobs. There's so many big jobs that are open. I just saw that the rumor now, and I'm not going to take credit for it, but I did say it the day after Coach Franklin got fired. I thought Virginia Tech would be a great spot for him. And right now, I just saw on Twitter that it looks like they're working out a deal. He's going to be the next head coach at Virginia Tech. I think it's a great spot for him. But so many dominoes yet to fall.
You see those posts, you don't know if it's like, is it real? Is it not real? But I saw that, and hey, he's getting some good weather down there.
Well, Coach, I think it's nice to see these guys where I know you say some of these coaches that chase the money and they go from like maybe Bowling Green to a mid-tier job, and it's obviously it's a step up for them. But the guys like Lane Kiffin were making $8-9 million a year. They're happy where they're at. To go chase another $4 or $5 million, I say, is it worth it when you're happy where you're at and you've built some of these programs up? Now with the transfer portal, it's nice to see these guys staying long term now.
For sure. I mean, it's good to see some of the schools, keeping their coaches there. I think that's the biggest thing is like having longevity. I think in any profession, having the administration behind you is so critical and important. Virginia Tech's got some great history, so, certainly wish him well. I've always very much enjoyed hearing him talk and thought he did a great job at Penn State. And, and particularly, during some difficult times, all those, with everything that happened there with Coach Paterno and all the situations I had there, like those guys helped continue to keep that program a proud program. Cause I always was a big Penn State, fan as a kid. So, and a big Joe Pa fan. So, certainly wish him well at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I always say be careful what you wish for when you get rid of some of these coaches like the way that we've seen this
Yeah.
season. So, well, Coach, listen, go get one this week. Look forward to talking to you again next week, and fear the Moose as always.
Hey, thanks for having us, and thanks everyone for listening. Fear the Moose.
Thanks, Coach. So happy to have Coach Faggiano on. I cannot believe it's this week and next week of the regular season for these guys, and then I'm crossing fingers they can win out with a chance to go to the Division III playoffs. If not, hopefully they'll get a bowl game, as Coach was just talking. But 1 week at a time. So I want to make sure I thank all the listeners, all the followers, for following us across all the social media channels, iHeartRadio, Spotify, you name it. For following us here on Inside Utica University Football Podcast. As I say here on the Rock Pile is where dreams become reality. But before we finish, I have some news to break. The Mohawk Valley Sports Watch will return on Sunday morning this week at 9 a.m. Talk to a friend of the show, longtime friend of the show, Scott Petoniak's going to join me. The alum is going to join me. We're going to talk some Syracuse football. We'll talk some Buffalo Bills football, as Scott's been a longtime writer for the Buffalo Bills. I'm excited to have Scott on. And I'm not going to release the high school guys' names yet because I want them to win first. But we will have some high school football coaches on Sunday morning as well. Some local coaches are still in here this week with a chance if they win, they punch their ticket to the Section 3 finals. I also want to congratulate Rome Free Academy field hockey for winning another title. Those games were supposed to be played tonight, but because of the weather, the regional games were moved to tomorrow night, right at Camden. I got to make sure I congratulate my sister Shannon too on a good year. Her Camden girls fell to VVS in overtime, 1-0. It was a great game to watch. She's got a really young team. She's got an 8th grade goalie that's really young. So Shannon, if you're watching, as I've told you, head up. You got a young group. Your team's going to be there for many more years to come. So want to make sure I congratulate my sister as well. So I'll finally finish it up again. Thanks for tuning in tonight to the Rock Pile on Inside Utica University Football Podcast. The Rock Pile is where dreams become reality. Have a good evening, everybody.